Hello. I think it should be live. No really good way to tell. So just going to stand here awkwardly and hopefully someone will start commenting soon. Until then, I'm just going to sip my coffee in silence. Hope that's okay. Just kidding. Hi. welcome to live programming, something that never ceases to stop being awkward for me. I have some cool ideas that we're going to do today. I'm going to kind of stall a little bit here at the beginning just to let everyone get here who wants to, and then we'll go ahead and dive right in. So it is like sort of the middle of the week. I hope you've had some time to check out some of the other programs. If you're a heart camper, maybe you had time to hit up Cabin Chat on Monday, and maybe we'll see you tonight. If you didn't see any of those, though, definitely go back and check them out. We had a jellyfish program that was pretty awesome earlier in the week. And, oh, friendship bracelets. We had some friendship bracelets. Who doesn't love friendship bracelets? And then also stay tuned for stuff later this week. Obviously, my program is going to be the most fun, the most exciting for everyone. But there's going to be some other cool ones coming up, including a Throwback Thursday. So stay tuned for that. All right, it looks like there's at least 2.5 of you here. So I'm going to go ahead and sort of like introduce what we're going to do in it. If people hop on and they have any questions, or if you too have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat as we're going. Cool. So like it says, we're going to do some tie-dye, we're going to do some magic, and most importantly, we're going to do some science, because magic doesn't really exist. So we need a couple things to pull this off. The first thing that we need is some milk or some water. And basically, we're going to use that as sort of the surface that all of our science will happen on top of. So milk or water. With the milk, if you have whole milk, the fattier the milk, the better. And we'll talk about why that's the case later. But if you just have skim milk, water, almond milk, they all will work the same. I tested a bunch of different just to make sure. Also, you're going to need some food coloring, or anything that is less dense than water. So, for example, you could use ground pepper. You could probably get away with using like parsley or oregano. Just ask your parents or guardian if they mind you get busted into the spice cabinet. And yeah, as long as it'll float on water, it should be able to work, and you should be able to do what we're going to do. So, the last thing that you need to make this work is the dish soap. And the dish soap is the most important part, because the dish soap is what's known as a surfactant. A surfactant is a surface active agent, which is a portmanteau. There's 2 words you can take with you. Surface active agent is a surfactant. Basically, a surfactant just lowers the density of, not the density, sorry, lowers the surface tension of whatever it's interacting with. So when you're washing your hands, it's doing a similar thing to what we're going to do, using some of the properties that come with being a surfactant. So now that we've kind of got all of that out of the way, what we're going to need, let's talk a little bit about what to expect, or like what we're going to see, and then let's go ahead and just dive right in and do it. So what's going to happen is I'm going to place the water, the milk, whatever liquid it is that you're using, in a shallow plate or bowl. If you don't have a plate or bowl, you can also use a pan, anything that'll hold the water. Even a cup would work. You're just not going to get to see the effect spread out quite as far. So after you pour the milk, that's when you get to sort of design the pattern that you're going to hopefully make. So I've got some food coloring and some pepper, and maybe we'll mix and match, and just see what happens. I also think that this is mostly just for me. Let's see. It says my sound cut. Can y'all hear me again? If not, we can make some changes. Looks like the sound is working on my end. Interesting. Sorry, one sec, everybody. We're just going to try to get sound back, if you can hear me. If not, my apologies. Interesting. It looks as though on my end, all of my stuff might not be working. I'm not entirely sure. Okay, looks like we're back. We're live, literally. Cool. So yeah, basically, don't really remember where we were, but we were probably somewhere before a science experiment. So let's just dive right into it. So I'm gonna turn the camera, and you're gonna look at my tiny table that is right here because my apartment doesn't have a lot of space. But I got my milk. I got my food coloring. Let's dive in. So you can see the table. Feel free to ignore all the stuff in the background. I have 2 plates because we're also going to try it with water. And we're going to look at what the difference is between the two. Because I have a theory that because milk is slightly denser than water, at about 1.02 compared to water's perfect 1.0, because water set the metric, not because water is special in any way other than that, I think they should interact slightly differently. So, if you are watching this video and you want to leave a comment, these are the color options that we have to work with. We have yellow, red, blue, and green. I'm going to throw the green apparently. Feel free to drop whatever color you would like to see. I'm going to do yellow. And if there's any other colors you'd like me to add, let me know. It's also good to play that way. We don't need distractions here. All right. So, I'm actually going to let the milk settle a little bit just so that we can really observe what's going to happen when the surfactant goes into the milk. All right, just watching a plate of milk slowly come to a still, I don't even know what I'm saying. Okay, we're going in a little bit of yellow right in the center. Any other colors you think I should add? Feel free to not comment anything, and I will just add whatever I want. Cool. So I'm also going to add just a little bit of red. Also right in the center. Now I will say I am sort of dropping them all right in one spot. You definitely don't have to, and you'll see what happens when we drop the surfactant in. Pretty crazy can happen all over the milk. So you know what, actually with the blue, why don't we just drop a couple dots? Really get wild. I know that's more than a couple, but this is my science experiment, darn it. Okay, so I got a Q-tip just because I didn't want to get my fingers all soapy. Not really sure why. Soap would be totally fine on fingers, but I'm just going to dip it right on in the soap. And then watch what happens when the surfactant in the dish soap acts with the milk and the food coloring. You see it spreading out from wherever the surfactant touches. Cool. So what's happening here? Any guesses? Feel free to drop a comment. See if I can get a perfect circle. It's kind of interesting. I mean, it's really interesting. Otherwise, I wouldn't have started this live video. What is happening is that the milk has surface tension. Most liquids have some sort of surface tension, and you can think of surface tension as the molecules in that liquid stuck together, creating on top of it something that is harder to push through than if you were fully submerged inside that liquid. So you can't really feel the difference in force, but you can imagine if I push down on this liquid, there is a tension across the surface that's holding together. So it's technically harder to push through than it would be if my finger were inside and just trying to push through. Cool. So let's see what happens with some water and see if it does anything different. Also try not to spill colorful milk all over my rented apartment. Got some water in a lovely mason jar. The mason jar is super necessary Just kidding. Cool. So, I don't know, let's see if we can make it do it again. Can you still see this one? I'm gonna pull this one back over just so that we can look at it one more time. When I put that's my charge, doesn't matter. When I put the soap in, you can see that it goes out in a perfect circle-ish with some swirls going on. You see, it's kind of hard from my terrible laptop angle, but when you try this at home, you'll be able to see that the surfactant pushes out the food coloring in a circle, but also in a swirl as it goes around. So let's see if that's the same when it comes to the water. I have a theory that it won't be. I have a hypothesis, I shouldn't say a theory, if we're going to be scientifically correct, that it'll just go out in a circle without the spinning. This is white pepper, not black pepper, just because I only have a pepper mill, and I'm not going to grind pepper for 20 minutes on camera. Cool. Let's get wild. Let's do both, right? What's life without a little adventure? Okay. All right. Gonna dip it in the soap. Let's see what happens. Wow, okay, so that's really interesting. So it actually doesn't go out in a circle at all. Can you see that it almost makes a star shape? Let's see. Wow, okay, so that's super interesting. And honestly, I'm not entirely sure what's going on here. If I can figure it out within the next few days, I'll try to post a comment letting you know. My best guess is that because water is like, you know what, I don't even want to take a guess at it. Let's just, I'll look it up and I'll let you guys know what's going on officially, assuming I can figure it out. Maybe it'll take a whole team of scientists. One thing that I also think is interesting, just worth mentioning before we go, in case you do try to do this at home, you'll notice that with this plate over here, I'm still able to sort of push it around. Now, at some point, I will sort of exhaust the surfactant, and if I just hold it in here, eventually the milk will just go still as the soap spreads out all the way across the water. The same is the milk. Sorry, the same is true with the water, but water gets to that point slightly faster. So you can see it's already starting to lose some of that, and that's because there's already soap across the surface pushing against as I try to get it to go and push out. Cool. Well, that is science and color. I suppose you could probably do the science experiment at your breakfast table if you put pepper in your cereal. Food coloring is safe to eat, so I definitely say drop some food coloring in your cereal whenever possible. And drop a comment. Let me know if you're able to do this at home. If you do it and you're able to figure out what the heck is going on with this water, definitely let me know. And just one question I kind of want to leave you all with to think about. So we talked a lot. I said the word surfactant, I think, roughly 362 times during this video. Soap is a surfactant. I like to go with Palmolive. Not a sponsor, just a fan. And the reason that happens, right, I said because it's a surfactant, it spreads out across the water. It has two molecules. It has what's called a hydrophobic and a hydrophilic. Hydro meaning water, phobic meaning afraid, philic meaning to love. And that's how soap is able to do what it does, using those two properties. So my question for you, and if you want to leave a comment, go ahead, is how do you think soap and water is able to wash our hands? What do you think is going on within the soap molecularly that's causing the germs, whether it's dirt from being outside or maybe more relevant, keeping us safe from COVID? How do you think soap is doing that? And how do you think it applies to what I demonstrated with the water, the milk, and the food coloring? Let me know in the comments below, and thank you so much for tuning in. Bye, everybody.